Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Now, as some of you might know, in a previous life, I was IT guy by day, and I also helped run a gaming website called This Is My Joystick by night. And let me tell you, I got so many happy memories, and I learned so much about my craft, whether it be podcasting and writing, from Andy Corrigan and Ray Wilmot. So a big kudos and a salute to both of you if you are out there listening. And I don't get to play as many games as I used to because writing for a living and hosting 3 podcasts does take up most of my time. But I do still own 2 gaming consoles. Now, before PC gamers give me a hard time on that one, it's only because as a casual gamer now in my more mature years, I simply just don't have time or money to keep up with the Joneses and refresh hardware such as graphics cards every single launch cycle to get the best gaming or computing experience. But what if I said, instead of throwing away your year-old iPhone into the sea every September or tossing an ancient i5 laptop just because Fortnite looks like crap, you could play and work on the most powerful Windows 10 machine available, all accessed through any old device that you had. Certainly a different way of looking at it, isn't it? And what if all that hardware, software updates, virus protection, OS upgrades that seem to pop up at the most inconvenient of times, what if all those were taken care of too? In fact, all you actually need is an internet connection and any device with internet access. That is what a company called Shadow is offering. A fully realised, powerful and constantly updated Windows 10 machine in the cloud, with up to 2 terabytes of storage, accessible by any device, desktop or phone, no matter how old, as long as it has Wi-Fi access, of course. Now, I've heard about this project for some time, but when I learnt that Mike Fischer became the company's new CEO this year, I felt compelled to find out more because Mike has been quite active in the video game industry for as long as I can remember. I mean, for example, in the past, I think he's worked at Sega, Bandai Namco, Microsoft and Epic Games, and he was the president and CEO of Square Enix between 2010 and 2013. So I'm sure he's been on a few Tomb Raider-style adventures too. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way stateside so we can speak with Mike Fischer about all this and much more. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Mike Fischer. I'm the president of Shadow, which is our cloud gaming service and cloud PC service with all-around support for any use. We're based in Paris with a large office in Silicon Valley as well.
And the world of gaming is an incredibly exciting place at the moment. And it's worth highlighting that Shadow was created in 2015 to design and develop the PC of the future, all with a simple future, I believe, which was free users from physical hardware constraints by giving them access to powerful cloud-based computers. But can you tell me the story behind the company and the overall mission there?
Yeah, absolutely. So our 3 co-founders in Paris came out of a successful startup built around mobile phones and still had ambitions to carry their entrepreneurship dream. And they landed on this idea of using the power of cloud computing to liberate people from the limitations of physical devices. And it was a huge challenge because, you know, a decade before, companies like OnLive and Gaikai had made this promise that cloud gaming was powerful enough and fast enough to deliver games online. And they were not able to deliver, and the companies ultimately failed. So they jumped into a space that had been fraught with danger before, but the improvements in the internet over time and some of the really unique technological innovations that they created have made it possible to deliver that dream of high-speed, complex, sort of visual computing that you need for games, delivered over the cloud with no latency problems. It really is a miraculous breakthrough that they created.
And I'm glad you mentioned on live there. That's something that I subscribed to, and I was quite excited at the time. But obviously, the internet and the speeds back then just we're not ready for that kind of thing. It was a great idea, but here we are now, of course, in the holiday season of 2020, and people will be throwing even more devices. We've got 2 new consoles coming onto the network as well, and there'll be those with legacy devices that are no longer being patched or receiving security updates. So all that space is fraught with so many dangers, etc. But I invited you on the podcast today after reading that you said, what if all the hardware, software updates, virus protection, and OS upgrades were all taken care of for you, and all you needed was an internet connection on any device with access? It's a great vision, but can you expand on that?
Yeah, absolutely. The benefits to using Shadow as your cloud computing solution are different for different people, right? For some, it's wanting to save money because they don't want to make an expensive upgrade to their device. For others, it's just the convenience of being able to access their PC from wherever they are. And for other people, it may be folks who have a high-end MacBook, for example, but want to play a PC game or a PC application. It all really depends. But I think the most interesting breakthrough for me was when I was still on the board of directors before I took the leadership role at the company. I was showing my wife how it worked. And I just said, look, you connect to the internet and plug in a monitor, keyboard, and mouse to any device, and you have access to this high-end PC. And she just looked at me and said, why would anyone ever buy a PC again? And it really highlighted for me what a fantastic solution it is. So yes, if you have an older device, a Windows, iOS, or an Android device, right? Anything up to including a tablet or even an iPhone, you can access a high-end Windows PC and have that full functionality. So in that respect, your devices never become obsolete, right? Your hard drive never breaks down. You never need to worry about updating your drivers. Because it's all there and taken care for and ready for you when you need it.
And that's what's really exciting about Shadow. But for people that have never heard about Shadow before, can you just tell me a little bit more about how it offers this fully realized, constantly updated Windows 10 machine in the cloud and up to 2 terabytes of storage that is, like you said, accessible by any device, desktop or phone, as long as it has Wi-Fi access? It sounds incredibly cool.
It's a really simple thing to explain because it's not like a Windows PC. It is a Windows PC in the cloud. So you take any device you have from a Mac or a mobile phone or an old PC, you click on the Shadow app and you're presented with a screen that is your new Shadow desktop experience. And you can do anything with it that you would with any other brand new PC. And you can store your files on it. You can use it for gaming or design or word processing or any application that you want. The difference is that the PC is in the cloud. So when you travel or regardless of what device you're on, all of your files, all of that compute power is there when you need it. So you don't have to learn anything new or do anything new. It's just a PC in the cloud. So it's funny, people ask for a demonstration of how it works. I go, it's your PC. It's not any different experience than the PC experience you've always known.
It's just got the spec that you could only dream of, right?
Right, exactly. I mean, we offer a number of tiers from a boost, which is a 1080 PC, up to far more powerful configurations. And the thing that I think surprises most people is how we've been really able to overcome this challenge of latency, the thing that's held back a lot of compute, but especially for gamers. Now, obviously, Shadow does much more than just play games. In fact, I think about half of our users spend a significant amount of time doing non-gaming applications, which we can talk about. But a little bit of latency is not a big deal if you're a big enterprise managing hotel reservations, right? But if you're playing Fortnite, a few milliseconds can be the difference between life and death. And that is, I think, one of the unique solutions that we've been able to bring. So your cloud experience for the vast majority of users, the vast majority of the time is totally indistinguishable from a desktop experience.
And my son, for example, he does a lot of motion design in Adobe Illustrator, I think it is. And he was telling me that when he's rendering a video, it can use up to, I think, 60 odd gig of RAM because it's so hungry on resources. So again, if you haven't got a machine that's capable of of that kind of spec, then this would be appealing too. Would that be right?
Absolutely. So for some people, it's a long-term permanent solution for their high-end PC needs. For other people, it may just be a service that they need for a short amount of time. And because this is a monthly subscription, then you only need to pay for it when you need it. Obviously, we hope people try it and stay with us forever. But we recognize that for some people, it is a stopgap solution until they upgrade their PC, or just as long as they need to, say, play Cyberpunk 2077 and then maybe go back to another platform. Because we're an open platform device. We're not trying to sell your games. We're not taking a 30% cut of anyone's transactions over our platform. We're an open platform because it's your PC and you control it, and you can do whatever you want.
So for people listening then, when you log into your Shadow computer, Shadow can stream games and applications seamlessly with zero latency from data centers around the US. But I'm curious, who are your services aimed at? And do you have any use cases that you can share that just help listeners understand how it could work in their world too?
That is to some degree one of the hardest questions to answer, because we definitely are focused on gamers, because I guess there are two reasons. One is they are an audience that is open to new experiences. Sometimes maybe financially constrained with the challenge of buying, a $2,000 plus high-end gaming PC. But I think the other is, if you look back historically, the two major drivers of any new tech adoption are games or pornography. We felt that maybe games was a safer place to go. That being said, if you can prove yourself to the gaming audience, then you've really proven yourself to almost any other application, because high-end games put more demands on a PC performance than just about any other application. So our feeling is, having proved ourselves with games, then we've demonstrated our ability to run whatever kind of application you may need. And that's where we're seeing people use us for very powerful applications like Autodesk or Unity or Unreal Engine, because they just found it's a really convenient way and also a low-cost way to get that high-end PC performance, even if it's not a game.
And you did say, when we're talking about the gaming market here, the first thing that they're going to say is they're going to be very sensitive about things like lag and latency. So for people listening that are concerned about that, maybe they've been burnt by that on-live experience a few years ago. How have you got around that issue?
So I am not an engineer. I dropped out of engineering in university and probably saved thousands of lives by making that career choice. So I'll explain it in simple terms, because they're the only way that I can understand it.
Yeah.
We don't try to beat the speed of light. In other words, we're not trying to overcome the natural latency that it takes for a signal to go from your home to a data center and back, right? You can't beat the speed of light. And we're not trying to brute force it by putting big edge computer data centers in every neighborhood, because that would be billions and billions of dollars. Instead, what we've done are found different shortcuts all throughout the processing and the signal that's moving around inside your device at home. And we shave a millisecond here, a millisecond there, between your monitor and your device, or your keyboard and your mouse. And through a lot of those, we'll call them latency workarounds, we're able to compensate for the natural time it takes that signal to go back and forth to the data center. So the result is you will not feel that difference at all when you play your device. Now, every signal to the home has its own unique situations, so I can't promise that you will never experience lag or latency, but it is remarkably consistent. That being said, your mileage may vary. If you're living on a farm in a rural area with a very old copper wire, that may not be the best fit. But, we have a speed test at the front of our website, so it's easy for you to use that to connect to the nearest data center and see how that works.
I'll admit, a powerful gaming PC at your fingertips without having to keep continuously upgrade your graphics card every year to 2 years is incredibly cool. But I'm curious, from what you've been seeing there, has there been a big increase in gaming this year due to the pandemic and people spending more time at home?
Yes, and it's kind of a mixed blessing for us because there's a greater need than ever. But if you see on social media, there's a waiting line to get into our service. We cannot fulfill the demand as fast as we would like. It also means that for the people who are using our service, they're using it more and more hours a day, and they're using it at greater levels of concurrency, which puts more and more stress on our system, on our network. So it's harder work for our engineers. I wish we had the unlimited resources to stand up even more servers and to support all the people who want to jump in. But yes, there's been an amazing spike in our usage. And we see it in different ways, right? The first spike of COVID, there was really across the board, rising level of usage. And then for the second wave, it seemed to be even more particularly focused on weekends, which is strange because people are staying at home anyway. But I guess our premise is that the folks who were working from home would still go out over the weekend. But as the lockdowns became stricter, even the weekend activities were off the books for them. So there was even more time spent online. So yeah, mixed blessing. Good things for us in terms of more people wanting to use our service, but definitely more stress on our infrastructure and our services.
And before you came on the podcast today, I did do a little bit of research and quickly learned that Shadow, Ultra, and Infinite are coming to the US. So can you tell me a little bit more about that? And also, I'm going to have to ask you, when is it coming to Europe? Because I know you've got a passionate gaming community hungry for updates at the moment.
So yeah, Ultra and Infinite are higher spec tiers for us that offer even more memory and even higher level processing power. It's been, I think it's fair to say, harder than we thought to roll it out, and more time consuming. And I think we did probably announce it earlier than I would have liked. It's coming out even in the US to limited regions starting this month. And then early next year, we're expecting to roll it out in Europe as well. But if you look on social media, we definitely built up people's expectations a little too soon. So the last thing I want to do is overpromise it now, because we already have a long queue of people waiting in line to get that added memory and to get those even more powerful processors.
So beyond that, what is next for Shadow? I appreciate you're probably locked down to all kind of NDAs and you can't reveal too much now, and especially when there'll be strong Reddit communities hanging on your every word. But are there any teasers that you can leave us with today?
Yeah, I always remember being the marketing guy at a number of gaming companies, and the CEO would get excited and pre-announce something, just drive me crazy. So I never want to be that guy. But I think, the interesting thing about us is it's not so much that we're constantly rolling out headline making new features and services, because again, at the heart, what makes our service great is it is just that Windows PC you love, but it's in the cloud. I think what we've done recently is even more important to our users, which is that we're constantly rolling out new improvements to the user experience. Now, for the first few years, it really was just getting that latency down, getting that visual fidelity high, and making it a better technical performance. So if you tried Shadow 2 years ago and you try Shadow today, it's an incredibly improved experience. Part of that is just because internet infrastructure keeps getting better, but a big part of it is a lot of small improvements we've continued to make behind the scenes. But some of the things we've done more recently is, as I mentioned, we put out a speed test on our website, so you can ping our servers and make sure you've got quality of service before you sign up. We've rolled out things like dynamic bitrate. We've even added mouse and keyboard support for iOS, so you can operate on an iPhone, a Windows desktop PC experience using a mouse and keyboard. And we've even rolled out an alpha for VR. So if you have an Oculus headset, you can try our alpha and have that experience. We have even more improvements coming out in the weeks and months ahead. And I think if you go to social media and you look for the features that everyone's crying for, you'll get a pretty good sense of the new things that we're working on that we hope to be announcing soon. We listen to our users. We listen to our fans. We're very active across, Discord and Reddit and all of our social media, and we take that feedback very seriously. I don't post very often, but I read all of those comments. Sometimes they're inspiring, sometimes they're heartbreaking, but those comments and that feedback really is important to us.
And for anybody listening that are outside of your community and would like to find out more information, keep up to speed with them updates, or maybe even contact a member of your team, can you just point everyone listening in the best direction of doing that?
Sure. Well, the best place to start is our website, which is just a shadow.tech. But we also have a very active Discord community, as well as a great subreddit, which is Shadow PC. So I think those are great ways to find us and to get involved with our community and our community members. And many times our employees and executives are also very active on that. We have a great Twitch stream. Jean-Baptiste Kempf, our CTO, often goes on that stream to talk about our new improvements and innovations and breakthroughs there.
Well, as someone that left the PC master race behind quite a few years ago, and I switched to consoles, but a funny story now, I've got 2 consoles. I won't tell you what names they are, but I don't get to go on them half as much as I would like to, because I am getting on in years now, but there's still that gamer inside of me. And I sat down, and I kid you not, that both of those consoles required an update, and they were both out of action for an hour. So a future of no more hardware or latest games FOMO, worrying about updates, security, graphics card, OS, and other software, and just having a platform that does it all for you. And like you say, it's that convenience factor is something that I'm going to be certainly checking out. But more than anything, thanks for sharing that story with me today.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
I love the idea of having access to an incredibly high-spec gaming PC that's just waiting in the cloud for me to log on as and when I wanted to use it. And where you can just log into a shadow computer. And when you log into that shadow computer, it can stream games and applications seamlessly with zero latency from data centers all over the US. All the latest games FOMO, no more worrying about updating security, OS, or other software. What is not to like about that? But of course, I am located in the UK. That's where I record this podcast. So that means I'm going to have to wait a while longer for things like Shadow Ultra and Infinite. But I want to pass the virtual microphone out to everybody listening here, especially people listening in the US. I want to challenge you to report back with your experiences, both good and bad, by simply emailing me your insights, experiences, thoughts, or even questions, whatever it might be, by simply emailing me now, techblogwriter@outlook.com. You get me on Twitter at Neil C. Hughes, and my website is techblogwriter.co.uk. I'm someone that's not tried Shadow. I'm very impressed by it. I want to find out more, but I'd love to hear more about your experiences, what to expect, what works, what doesn't, all those things. Let me know and I can share it with all the listeners too. But I'm afraid we're out of time once again. The good news is I will return again tomorrow with another episode of Tech Talks Daily. But if you find tomorrow's subject is not to your liking, don't worry, we'll meet again soon, I'm sure. So thanks for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.